At 5:47 a.m., an 8-year-old with a crumpled dollar walked through our back door and changed our bakery and our block forever. I'm Daniel. 3 years on Rosetti's morning shift taught me two things. Ovens don't care about weather, and every loaf has a story. Lily's was cinnamon-raisin. She stood there in a coat 2 sizes too big and shoes that had seen better winters. Her hair was in braids that were coming undone, and she clutched that dollar bill like it was made of gold. "We're not open yet, sweetheart," I said gently, putting down the tray of rolls I'd been arranging. She looked at me with eyes that belonged on someone much older. "I know, I'm sorry. My mom gets off her shift at 6, and I wanted to surprise her with breakfast. She loves the cinnamon-raisin bread. She says it tastes like Sunday mornings." I'd been working the morning shift at Rosetti's bakery in Duluth for 3 years when Lily walked in. Mr. Rosetti hired me when I was 19 and desperate, the kind of desperate that comes from a resume full of blank spaces and a checking account full of nothing. The bakery sat on the corner of 4th and Mason, a brick building that had been selling bread since 1952, when Mr. Rosetti's grandfather opened it with a sourdough starter he'd carried from Italy in his coat pocket. "Where's your mom work?" I asked, already reaching for a loaf. "St. Mary's Hospital. She's a cleaner. Works all night so she can be home when I get out of school." She held out the crumpled dollar. "Is this enough?" A loaf of cinnamon-raisin cost $4.50. I was about to do what I'd done before, slip her a loaf and pay the difference from my tips, when Mr. Rosetti appeared from the office. He moved quietly for a man his size, and he had a way of being exactly where the story was happening. "What's your name?" he asked the girl. "Lily." "And your mother? She likes the cinnamon-raisin?" Lily nodded. "She says it's the best part of her week. After cleaning all night, she comes home and we have breakfast together before I go to school. Just her and me." Mr. Rosetti looked at the dollar in her hand, then at the shelves full of bread, then at something beyond all of us that only he could see. When he spoke, his voice was different, quieter, decided. "Carlos," he called. "Danny, come here." We gathered around him like kids around a campfire. Lily stood apart, still clutching her dollar, looking worried she'd done something wrong. "Today," Mr. Rosetti said slowly, "we give it away. All of it." Carlos blinked. "What?" "Every loaf, every roll, every cookie. Free." "Mr. R," I started. Boss, we've got flour delivery tomorrow. Payroll on Friday." He smiled, but it wasn't his usual smile. This one had history in it. "My grandfather opened this bakery with empty pockets and a starter culture. You know what he told me? He said, 'Giuseppe, we don't bake bread. We bake community. Sometimes community needs flour and yeast. Sometimes it needs more.'" He walked to the cinnamon-raisin display and picked up not 1 loaf, but 3, handed them to Lily. "For your mother. For being the best part of someone's week." Lily's eyes went wide. I only have $1. "Today, $1 is exactly the right amount," Mr. Rosetti said. "In fact, keep it. You might need it for something else." What happened next was chaos, but the kind of chaos that feels like dancing. Mr. Rosetti flipped the sign to open and propped the door wide despite the cold. Carlos started brewing coffee, the good stuff we usually saved for catering. I began arranging bread in baskets by the entrance with a sign Mr. Rosetti scrawled on cardboard. "Today only. Free bread. Take what you need, share what you can." Word spread like spilled flour. By 6:30, there was a line around the block. The first customer after Lily was Harold, who lived in the apartments above the laundromat. He'd been coming in every Tuesday for 2 years, always counting exact change from a leather pouch that had seen better decades. "Is this real?" he asked, studying the sign like it might be in code. "Real as bread," Mr. Rosetti said. "What'll you have?" Harold's hands shook as he reached for a sourdough loaf. I haven't had sourdough in months. Been making do with the day-old from the supermarket." "Take 2, Mr. Rosetti said. "Take 3. Hell, take enough to freeze." Then came the Hendersons, the family who'd lost their house in the fire on Birch Street last month. Mrs. Henderson approached the counter like she was walking on ice. Is it really free?" she asked. "Everything," I confirmed, then leaned in closer. "And between you and me, the banana bread in the back is still warm." Her son tugged her sleeve. "Mom, they have the twisty bread." "Take two," Mr. Rosetti said, appearing with a box. "Kids need twisty bread. It's a scientific fact." By 9, we were running low. That's when Marcus walked in. I knew Marcus from around. He spent most days outside the library, had a sleeping bag stashed behind the dumpster at Walgreens. He stood at the door like he wasn't sure the rules applied to him. Come in, Mr. Rosetti called. "What can we get you?" Marcus took tentative steps inside. His eyes swept the nearly empty shelves and his shoulders dropped. "Too late, I guess. Story of my life." "Never too late," Mr. Rosetti said. "Danny, what do we have in the back?" "Used to be a teacher," Marcus said suddenly as I brought out tomorrow's Country White. "Taught history. Lost everything when my daughter got sick. Medical bills. Then she passed anyway. Funny how fast you can go from teaching about bread lines to standing in them." The morning became a blur of faces and stories. The insurance broker next to the single mom, the yoga instructor chatting with construction workers, Mrs. Chen from the flower shop decorating our baskets with roses. By 10, we were down to crumbs. The last customer was a teenager, maybe 17. She had a baby on her hip and exhaustion in her eyes. "Is it true?" she asked. "Free bread?" I looked around at our empty shelves. "We're pretty much out." "Wait," Mr. Rosetti said. He disappeared into the back where his office was. He emerged with a loaf I'd never seen before, darker than our usual whole wheat, denser, older looking somehow. "This," he said, handing it to the girl, "is from my personal stash. Dark rye from my grandfather's notebook. Made it this morning for myself, but, well, bread's meant to be shared." She took it like he was handing her a newborn. "Thank you. Thank you so much." After she left, we stood in the empty bakery, Carlos, Mr. Rosetti, and me, surveying our kingdom of empty shelves. "Boss," Carlos said finally, "how are we going to open tomorrow?" Mr. Rosetti was already rolling up his sleeves. "Same way we open every day. We bake." We worked until midnight, mixed and kneaded and shaped until our arms screamed. The ovens ran hot enough to warm the whole block. Around 11, Mr. Rosetti started telling stories I'd never heard before. About learning to bake from his father in a kitchen the size of a closet. About the first time he'd made bread that wasn't a brick. About meeting his wife when she'd complained his focaccia was too salty, then coming back every day for a month to complain about something new until he finally realized she just wanted to talk to him. She was right about the focaccia, he admitted, shaping dinner rolls with practiced ease. Too much salt, but I was too proud to change it until she suggested adding rosemary to balance it out. Sold twice as much after that. Married her 6 months later. Best business decision I ever made. Then, as we worked the overnight shift together, he told us the story I'd been wondering about all day. "My father," he said, hands never stopping their rhythm with the dough, "came here with nothing. Got a job cleaning at St. Mary's, same hospital where Lily's mother works, 6 kids to feed on a janitor's salary." He paused to check the oven temperature. Every Friday, he'd come here when it was still Astrid's bakery, count his coins, buy day old when he could. Astrid saw him doing it week after week. One Friday, she loaded him up with fresh bread, wouldn't take his money. "For your boys," she said. Did it every week after that until she retired. When she was ready to sell, she came to my father, said she'd take whatever he could pay and a promise that he'd remember what hunger looked like and do something about it when he could. Mr. Rosetti dusted flour from his hands. Took him 30 years to pay her back. Not that she was counting, but he was. By the time we locked up, tomorrow's inventory was ready. Not as much as usual, but enough. Always enough. I was the last to leave, double-checking the ovens like Mr. Rosetti had taught me. As I turned off the lights, I noticed something tucked under the register. An envelope with "For the Baker" written in careful cursive. Inside was a $5 bill and a note, from Lily and Mom, for Sunday mornings. I showed it to Mr. Rosetti the next day. He read it twice, then tucked it into his apron pocket, where he kept his father's recipes and his grandfather's wisdom. "You know what?" he said. "I think we should do this again." "Give away everything?" I asked. "No, well, yes, but not everything at once." He looked out at the slowly filling shelves, the morning light catching the flour dust in the air like snow. "Maybe just random acts of bread. Someone comes in looking hungry, their money's no good, single parent counting change, bags on us. Make it irregular, keep it human." That was 5 years ago. Rosetti still stands on the corner of 4th and Mason. We still open at 6. I still make the cinnamon-raisin. It's head baker's privilege now that I've moved up. But something's different. Maybe it's the suspended breadboard by the register where customers can prepay for loaves that folks in need can claim. Maybe it's the way nobody looks surprised anymore when we slip an extra roll into their bag. Maybe it's the way the whole neighborhood seems to exhale when they walk through our door, like they're coming home. Lily, that 8-year-old with the crumpled dollar, is 13 now. Still comes in sometimes, usually with friends, always smiling. Her mom got promoted to day shift supervisor at the hospital. They still have cinnamon-raisin on Sunday mornings. Mr. Rosetti retired last year, handed me the keys and the recipes and the responsibility of keeping his grandfather's promise. "Remember," he said on his last day, "we don't bake bread. We bake community," I finished. He smiled that butter cookie wind chime smile. "Now you're getting it." Last Tuesday, another cold Minnesota morning, another 4 a.m. alarm, I found a girl standing by the back door. Different girl. Same too big coat, same old soul eyes, same crumpled dollar. "We're not open yet," I said gently. "I know," she said. "But my dad, he works construction, leaves at 5:30. I wanted to surprise him." I looked at her dollar, at our full shelves, at the promise that lived in the space between flour and community. Then I smiled and flipped the sign to open. "You know what?" I said. "Today, $1 is exactly the right amount." Because that's what Mr. Rosetti taught me. That's what Lily taught me. That's what that Tuesday morning taught all of us.
Sometimes the best business decision has nothing to do with business.
Sometimes a bakery is more than a bakery. And sometimes, on a cold morning in Minnesota, giving away every loaf of bread is the only way to understand what richness really means. The ovens still wake before the sun. The neighborhood still finds its way to 4th and Mason. And every Tuesday, I make 1 extra pan of cinnamon-raisin, just in case someone needs Sunday morning on a Tuesday.